Good morning. Uh, Measured our snowfall last night. We had about 9 inches. It was pretty well winding down then. We might have got another inch or two. It's still flurrying a little bit out there. This morning for devotions, I've been reading through the Law of Moses, and there's some things there that are hard to understand that are difficult. Hopefully, as we look at a few of those, I don't know if we'll make sense of them, but maybe get a little more perspective on them anyway. But before we start that, we need to get into God's perspective before He gives the law to His people. Um, you yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And if any of you have watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy or read the books, and you see those giant eagles taking taking the hobbits off Mount Doom. That's an image that can help us to understand the poetry here that God's speaking. Uh, and we've entered into a covenant. I've started it by setting you free, and now if you obey me fully and keep your end of it, then out of all nations you'll be my treasured possession. Pretty neat for the God of the universe to say that to a group of people. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. So there's their mission right here, right? Your mission is to be a kingdom of priests, so that one of the roles of the priest, of course, is to teach the ways and the laws of God and to point people to God. And this would be what the whole nation would be about. And also a holy nation, so set apart, different than the rest of the nations of the earth. I'm not sure we're seeing that kind of thing with modern day Israel. Um, I'm not sure we saw it consistently with Old Testament Israel, but that was the goal, right? Uh, I have set you free. So, first of all, that covenant was based on Abraham's faith. Abraham, I'm going to make your descendants great and I'll bring them out of Egypt. Now it is based on, it's still based on that a little bit, but it's also based on the fact that I did set you free, and that makes you my people. Well, to get into it, I'm not gonna look at the Ten Commandments; those are very familiar. I'm gonna get into some stuff that is a little uncomfortable, and this is where it starts off. We're jumping to Exodus 21, verse 2. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the seventh year, he shall go free without paying anything. And this is getting into Sabbath years, that every seventh year the land was, and we'll get to this further in, the land was to rest. Uh, Hebrew servants were to be set free and return to their land, and this is beginning this whole concept. It's hard to understand this. And as I was thinking and praying about it this morning, one thing I realized is that these guys have been slaves for multiple generations, right? This is the only life that they have known, their fathers, their grandfathers have known. And so the law starts off really after the Ten Commandments, starts off with these statements on slavery where we, at least my audience, we've not known slavery at all. So this is a very different cultural situation that we're looking at the same things. These guys are ex-slaves, the children of slaves, looking at these laws where we can't even likely wrap our minds around that, right? Just to go free without paying anything. The other thing to keep in mind here is, um, if you didn't have the skills to farm, to produce goods, and you needed to live, you may have had to sell yourself into slavery. Um, there weren't companies that would, there wasn't a big box store that would hire you uh, just for your body back then. So slavery was the way things went. I want to continue on here a little bit. If he comes alone, he is to go free alone. Well, that makes sense, right? But if he has a wife when he comes, she is to go with him. That's great. That makes sense too. We're all on board with that stuff. Now's where it gets a little bit tough. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her master, and only the man shall go free. Now, as a free person looking at that, I go, what in the world? That doesn't even make sense. Are they just breeding stock at this point? What is that even talking about? And again, this is where I feel like if I was looking at this as someone born and raised in slavery, I may see this very different. Um, but I will say it still makes me very uncomfortable to to read that, and I'm not sure what to do with that other than to say this is being addressed to a culture that uh, I do not understand. Um, Now we're going to skip ahead a few verses here to another section that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know why I'm doing the uncomfortable ones today, but hey, here we are. And after this, I'm going to go outside and shovel snow. Um, Verse 7, if a man sells his daughter as a servant, ouch, can't tilt. Having raised three daughters, why would you ever do that? Um, but she doesn't go free in the seventh year as male servants do. What? What's going on with that? We'll see. Hang in there. I've got some observations for this. If she does not please her master, who has selected her for himself. So there was an idea here that when a father sold his daughter, which I'm still tilt on, um, that there was going to be a marriage relationship arrangement here. Um, so he wasn't just hiring her to tend the flowers or wash the dishes. Um, or take care of the house, whatever. He must let her be redeemed. Here's the first appearance of the idea of redemption, that you've got a slave who can't go free unless a price is paid. And someone needs to pay that price to redeem her. I almost wonder, and this is a right now type thought, I hadn't thought of this earlier. What if one of the other men in the house or men in the neighborhood realize the value of this gal where uh, the master has not? This gives them a chance to buy this young lady out of slavery and make a relationship with her. Still very uncomfortable. I don't know if I even like that. Uh, but she is then able to be redeemed out of a failing relationship with this master. Um, and here's a concept: he has no right to sell her to foreigners. because he's broken faith with her. So, in other words, uh, there was a real expectation that this was going to be a marital relationship, and he can't just sell her off to foreigners, even if they want to redeem her. That's not supposed to happen. She needs to stay in Israel. She's an Israelite. Uh, if he selects her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. Uh, she's now part of the family. Just because he bought her doesn't make that any different. So I feel like that is an elevation in this situation. If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and marital rights. Okay, so uh, she's still in that marital relationship, and again, we know, and Jesus very clearly interpreted it for us in the New Testament, that God's design is not one man, multiple women. But this is where the culture has fallen to. And God knows this and has to at least start where the culture is. I don't know why he has to start where the culture is, but he's smarter than me. I mean, it makes sense. Though, if you're setting up a nation, yeah, but you already got guys that are married to multiple women. This would be a mess. Um, if he does not provide her with these three things, she's to go free without any payment of money. There's not even redemption involved there. She just has her freedom because she's being mistreated. So I would suspect to a slavery culture, some of this would be kind of radical and in a positive way, where to you and I, a non slavery culture by and large, it's just hard to understand. That's all I'm going to say. May the Lord add his blessing because we certainly need it uh, to this reading of his word.